And then the 4th of July. Tea, anyone? Ha ha ha! What do I think about? When I think about the independence of the United States of America, being free from occupation of other countries, well, the first thing I think of is independent conversion. And that's of the fact of one of the biggest theories, the biggest notions of the world, and that is the overlapping realms. Now, the monarchies have claimed the realms themselves. So, in a world order statement, and almost a treaty existently to some extent, there is the United States of America with independent conversion. And that independent conversion is independent federal constitutional republic. The democracy we live in. And what that comes down to is the notion of the word source, 2 peaks, and then the 3rd peak. Or I'm sorry, valleys. The 2 word source main valleys, and then the 3rd valley. Because, there's only 3 valleys in the whole thing. There's 7 peaks, but 3 valleys. So it's that 3rd valley that's RC and is the realm changer. Okay? So when you get with the realm changer, you get the notion of the USA and the independent conversion. But what does that all have to do with? It has to do with the sunrises and sunsets. And that 3rd peak is, the first peak is the black-violet of the night colors. The second peak, and that's MK. The second peak is PH, and that's neon green and white, and that has to do with vegetation and clouds. Okay? And then the 3rd peak is the realm changer itself. And that is neon orange and yellow. But, with the other 2 peaks, that's where it states it might look like it's pink. But it is, in fact, neon orange and yellow. And that's sunrise and sunsets. The realm changer.
Also gold.
So,
gold.
Yep, I think of that.
Look like gold.
And also, the fact is, the U.S.'s notion actually gives a stronghold for the monarchies. Besides the U.S. Free from the occupation of other countries and monarchies is, part of that. It is also the fact that the other monarchies have separation from each other. The Asians from the Arabs, from from Europe, and every other country that has monarchies and other. So it gives kind of a treaty statement. I don't know if it's really a treaty. It's kind of unspoken, more of a statement.
Well, it's in the UN.
About it.
NATO.
So there's that notion. And then what else do I think about? I think about the for the moment clause. which states things like the U.S. doesn't grant nobility titles or recognize the rules of monarchies within the land of the USA. Yeah. And then also they can't accept gifts from them and stuff like that. It goes on, it's a whole clause. And then there's other clauses that go with it. That's Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8. But all of that, though, with the notion of freedom of speech in the First Amendment, that allows people to use nobility titles in expressions, words, publicized things,
Boston,
titles they've given businesses.
20 around, 16.
But again, they're not granted any nobility rights because of it.
Boston,
but there is freedom of
Party.
speech, so they can use them. That's why we can all go to Kentucky Kingdom. But yeah, those two things come to mind. The independent conversion of the overlapping realms being the independent federal constitutional republic, and the Foreign Amendment Clause and freedom of speech. Yep. Obviously, it's all known, the British Tea Party is what set it off.
Boston, sorry.
And,
Boston Tea Party.
Which led to the end of the Revolutionary Wars. Sure it continued. It always is that the USA is always involved in having their independence from Britain, the monarchy, and then all the other countries with the monarchies. So, that's what comes to mind. All those fun times of fireworks. Sure, besides the USA having independence from being occupied, besides that, it's obvious there are occupations going on in the world for one reason or another, whether by necessity, force, or of treaty. There are occupations going on. And there's people who oppose those occupations and people who support those occupations. And, there is a large part in the conflicts of the world. I'm starting to think that the overreach tyranny is giving illegal hints about those. With maybe something like, instead of overreach tyranny OT, occupation treaties. Why would they hit me? Maybe over my dad in Vietnam, where, that was over the French occupation in Vietnam. And then, the North Vietnamese revolted against that with the notion of Russia behind that. Maybe they're hitting me over that. I'm not sure. But, it's always the notion that the USA has their freedom from being occupied by other countries, not only monarchies, countries, but also just every other country. And have, embassies and military bases throughout the world. I believe there's 500 military bases in the USA, but something like 700 military bases throughout the world. Because, that comes off the notion of my top row of characters being the 12 L, the L comp. So they have 1,200 military bases. Then based upon the word source notion of military, where the police stations come from the bottom rows, where there's 2 rows of 9 to make up that area from R to Z. And then there's 18,000 police departments in the USA.